Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I am Jess and today we are going to be working on a meal planning, meal prepping video. So this is something I like to do every week. It helps you stay on track. It helps you keep in the calories that you want or whatever you're doing, points or whatever it is you're doing. It helps you plan for it, keep it in mind, and every day you should end the day with success. So I have to do this all the time, about once a week, just to make sure I'm staying where I need to be staying and I'm on track. And I have been sticking around 1,500 calories. Sometimes I'm more like 14, sometimes I'm more like 16, but I feel like as long as I'm in that vicinity of calories that I do well. So I usually in my day plan for a breakfast, a lunch, a snack, dinner, and dessert. And I'm able to stick in my calories with all of that, but only with planning. So I highly recommend you start your week off with some meal prep and meal planning, and the rest of your week will be a breeze. It might take some time for one day, but the rest of your days, you will not have to think about it at all. So let's get into this. We're going to do some simple recipes, nothing crazy, nothing too hard. So let's get into it. Okay, so what I have here is some of these All-Rida hash brown potatoes. These are 60 calories for 1 1/4 cup. So what I have done is I've just weighed out 4 servings here. The only thing about the All-Rida shredded potatoes is that they're always clumpy. Every bag I have ever bought has been so clumpy. So it is what it is. It takes kind of time for it to, as it gets warmer, it'll start like breaking apart, but that does kind of make it hard to do single servings. Yeah, see, it'll start falling apart there. That does make it a little harder to do single servings just because it is clumpy. I don't know if that's my store. I don't know. I'm not sure. I buy mine at Walmart. I do also really like the Great Value brand, but they are 60 calories for, I think it's either a cup or a 3/4 cup. I can't remember. So anyway, so this is heating up. And to go with this, I have 6 eggs, so 2 a day, and then some Butterball turkey bacon. It is 25 calories for 1 slice, so I will do 2 slices a day for 4 days. And on top of this, when I heat it up, sometimes I'll put some ketchup or salsa, and depending on what my day looks like, because I do like to pre-track, depending what my day looks like, sometimes I'll add cheese. So this turns out to be about 230, I think, 230 calories. These are medium eggs, so they are 60 calories an egg. But I think that comes out to be about 230 calories per breakfast per day. And that leaves room for coffee if I'm using full sugar creamer. I track that. So that just leaves you a little bit of wiggle room. In the morning, you could add another egg. You could add some fruit. You could really do a lot with this, and I'll show you kind of what I end up doing with this at the end. Okay, so I got this all broken down, and I did spray the pan with this canola oil. It's a Kirkland brand, so it's from Costco, just so it doesn't stick. And then on top of this, I'm going to put Mrs. Dash onion and herb seasoning and also some garlic powder. Mix that up. These potatoes, you really want to watch them. I've watched some people add water. I don't do that. I think they cook fine on their own. but I guess that's kind of a personal preference. So these are going to cook down and brown up. Okay guys, so our potatoes, sorry, we have a little Oliver back there. He woke up from his nap. But potatoes are done. I cracked and scrambled the eggs. And now this is what's cooking. All right, guys. Eggs are done. Potatoes are done. I am just going to cook up this turkey bacon. I ended up only having 7 pieces left. So that means one of them is only getting 1 piece of bacon. That's fine because I can have a banana or an orange or some sort of piece of fruit with that day. So that works out. All right, you guys, so this is what it looks like all finished. I know this isn't the prettiest thing, but I don't have 20 little single serve containers. So I like to take these big ones and take some aluminum foil, split it in half. So the foil goes all the way down, so everything is separated. So it's just like a breakfast scramble. Sorry if you can hear Oliver in the background. He's playing with an empty bowl. So it's kind of just like a breakfast scramble type of thing. So there is some scrambled eggs, hash browns, bacon, and then I like to add either ketchup or salsa. In some mornings I'll add cheese. Really? This one has only 1 piece of bacon, so I'll probably definitely add cheese to this one. But this is breakfast for the next 4 days. And like I said, the ones that have this one, these 2 and this one have 2 pieces, and they are about 230 calories. This one's about 200. I'll add probably about 20 calories worth of either ketchup or sorry, Oliver, of either ketchup or salsa, and then of course my coffee with it. So this is breakfast. All right, so we are going to make some turkey meatballs. So here I have exactly 1 pound of turkey. It's from a 3-pound tub, but I measured it out with my food scale to make sure that it was exactly 1 pound. And then we are going to be using 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs. So I'm just going to measure. Okay. And these are just the Great Value Italian style. It is 110 calories for 1/3 of a cup, but I found this is all you really need for 1 pound of turkey. I'm also going to be adding some, you can see there, some onion and herb. This is Dash. Sorry about the lighting. It is almost 9:30. So I'm also going to be adding some garlic powder, Italian seasoning, and then I'm going to end up making an onion soup. I got this idea from Amanda Lewis here on YouTube. She made meatballs baked in a French style onion soup, and so I'm going to try to do that also. So I am going to start with making the, oh, you also need an egg. 1 egg. I just have the medium eggs, but I'm sure a large egg would work just as well.
I do like to start mixing with a spoon, just because I think that it kind of blends things all together, but you do end up having to use your hands for a good portion of these meatballs.
Okay, so I've combined it, I think, as much as I'm going to be able to with just the spoon. I did move camera angles just because I felt like it was a little dark over where it was. So it's combined with just a spoon, so now I'm going to use my hands. I do take off my ring just because it has little grooves, and I don't want nasty raw turkey meat in my ring. So, but this just helps combine the rest of it all together, make sure it's all combined. And then once you're satisfied with how it's combined, then you can start rolling your meatballs. I have this dish over here. I'm just gonna put them in this dish after they are rolled. So this is how, let's see if I can, that's kind of how it looks, and that's pretty well combined for me. So I'm going to roll these up. Okay, so here are my meatballs. It made 16, and I divide this into, I just do 4 at a time, so this will give me 4 meatballs per day. And I'm just realizing I forgot to add in my Italian seasoning, but I think that's okay. Kind of bummed, but that's okay. So now we are going to cook these. Okay, so to cook the meatballs, I am using my air fryer. This is the Instant Vortex. It's the Instant Pot brand. To turn on, you just press the button, air fry, and I set these for 8 minutes. You can't really see that so great. So I do 375 for about 8 minutes. And you just press start. And then it will let you know when it's time to add. Okay, so it was time to add. You pull this thing out and it just stops, it just pauses. But I added about half of the meatballs. I'm going to stick them in. And I will check these in about 4 minutes. Okay, so while those cook, I am going to chop up this onion. So I'm just going to there. I'm not a super fan of really thick onions. I like onions, but I don't want big chunks of onion, so. So the first batch of the meatballs are done. I just cut that one in half just to make sure that it was totally cooked through. But how yummy do these look? So good. So I got the other half in the air fryer, and then I have my onions starting to saute in the pan. I did end up cutting the second half more long just because I realized it was going to cook down. And then to saute it in, I did add some of this, I can't believe it's not butter, just to help it cook down. So I'm actually going to turn this temperature down to saute because I don't want them to burn. So I'm going to saute these. Oh, and I'm also going to add, while they are sauteing, this is some bone broth. So it's just some of this concentrate bone beef broth from Walmart. So I made some of this up as the kind of the gravy for the stew, or not the stew, the onion soup. So I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of this while the onions are cooking, and then I will add the rest of it in a little bit. I am probably going to salt the onion gravy mix just because this is not salt. Like there's no salt in this, and it's kind of plain tasting. So I'm gonna spice it up a little bit. So I'm gonna add this. Finish cooking these, and these have just about 7 more minutes. And I will let you know when I start adding this in. Oh, I'm also going to preheat my oven to 375, I think. So that way when these are all done, I can just pop it in the oven. Okay, so these onions are cooking down really nicely. I added about a teaspoon of flour to the rest of this bone broth, which is a half a cup, just to make sure that it gets thick. So I'm just going to add this in. And let this cook down, and then after this gets a little bit thick, I will be putting it over top of this and baking it for 15 minutes on 375. Okay, so this is with the onion soup over top of the meatballs. I did add a little bit of Italian seasoning to the top since I forgot to do it while I was making the meatballs. I also put some grated Parmesan cheese, maybe about 3 or so tablespoons. I'm going to count it probably as about 10 calories per serving. So I am going to pop this in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, just so everything kind of incorporates into each other, and then I will show you when it is all finished. All right, you guys, these meatballs are done, and they look and they smell so good. So this is what they look like. I am so excited to try these tomorrow. So what I'm going to pair with this meal is one of these, they're little individual containers of Libby's cut green beans. These are only 10 calories per little pouch. So that is really good. And I told you guys this was going to be a fast, easy, simple meal prep. So I am going to be using a packet of potatoes. So I know that this is not the most healthy thing, but it is calorie deficit friendly. There's only 110 calories per serving. And when you don't have time to cut, boil, mash, drain, package up potatoes, this takes 2 minutes. You boil some water, add it, and divide it up. In the future, it might become more of a priority for me to get in whole foods, but right now this is what's working for me, and this is what I have time for. So I will probably in the morning just make these up and put them in the meal prep containers with the meatballs. But it is about 10:20 right now. I started about 9:30, but that included having to do a couple of other things in between. So if I had been really smart, I would have started the onions a little sooner. That way they could have been cooking while the meatballs were cooking instead of starting it while the meatballs were cooking. And that would have reduced my time significantly. I will insert a picture of what the meal prep containers look like tomorrow after I finish them, but those are the meatballs again, and again I will get about 4 meatballs per serving plus the green beans and the potatoes, and this actually works out to be, these are about 210 calories for 4, including the soup, including the cheese, all of that. These are 10 calories and this is 110 calories. So this works out to be about a 340 calorie meal. You could use this for lunch, you could use this for dinner, it really doesn't matter. But I like to have my meals 400 calories or under usually, so this is a decently well-rounded meal. relatively quick, relatively simple, but it's going to be delicious and I'm going to be very full afterwards. So that is my meal prep for the week. Alright, you guys, so I hope that you enjoyed my meal prep for this coming week. I do only meal prep 4 days at a time. I just don't like leftovers beyond 4 days. It did take me quite a while just because I am a mom and I don't have time always to do everything at once. So I did my breakfast earlier in the day during and a little bit after his first nap, and then I did my lunch meal prep after he went to bed for the night. But in total, I only spent about an hour and 15 minutes prepping everything, and that was with not being super smart with my time. Now that I did it, and if I do it again, I know that there are some things I could do a little differently to help with my time management a little bit more. But so I will be having a potato, bacon, egg bowl for breakfast, which is just around 230-ish calories. I will make sure that I am putting all the calories down below in the description box, but I think it's around 230. I'll correct that if I'm wrong. But and then I have my lunch prep, which is just about 340 calories. I usually do a meat and a veggie for dinner, usually like a chicken or something for dinner, so that's relatively low in calories. And then I like to have at least one snack during the day, and I like to have something for dessert at night. That's just what I like. I feel unsatisfied if I don't get those things. So things that I am making for dinner, I usually do chicken. I'm going to be doing some pork chops this week in the air fryer because I love that thing. So we'll be doing some chicken, some pork chops, some little sirloin steaks. So I do make dinner. I don't prep dinner. So I do make dinner when it's time for dinner. And so it's I like to have one fresh meal a day. Not that the meal prep meals are bad, but sometimes it's just nice to end your day with a nice, hot, fresh cooked meal. So that is my meal prep for the week. If you guys would like to see any of my dinner recipes or do a cook with me with any of my dinner recipes, just let me know down below. I'd love to chat with you guys and see what kind of ideas you have, or if you make any of these ideas. I would love to see that on Instagram as well. My Instagram is also linked down below, or my name is down in the description box below. Be sure to like this video and stay tuned for more. Bye!